Thanks for having us. I wonder where all of you are from. Do you remember when we were trees? Do you remember when we were huge pieces of dust? Perhaps in our misguided sense of static self, this is clearly me, that is clearly you. We forget that often boundaries are artificially imposed via human language in an attempt to navigate the craziness. Both self and systems are generally fluid. That is, there is dust in our DNA, maybe even tree. The idea of original homeland is an interesting one when we look at the evolution of forests on our small planet. This evolution has resulted in growing complexity from the earliest ferns to the more complicated gymnosperms of today's forests, with more recently derived groups displacing previously dominant ones. A couple of years ago, my husband, who was displaced, got very sick, and I developed a great sensitivity to trees. Not trees from the fictional homeland forest, but trees who had undergone some type of forest human diaspora, like the dead Douglas fir utility poles right here on Siringo. I was so moved by their situations, I began to write letters to them. I can't help but think that all diasporas are forced by some tangential agent. Think about the reflex that forces CO2 out of our lungs when we exhale, or the human-forced diaspora of various tars to make creosote, or the subsequent diaspora of these same tars leaching into the soil through a perfect triangulation of water and gravity pressure and available open pockets. A particularly stunning one is the tree diaspora that occurred in this area in 1914, when over 300,000 Douglas fir in the Santa Barbara forest east of Penasco were cut to make ties for the AT and SF transcontinental train line through New Mexico in an attempt to compete with the cheap shipping rates offered by the impending opening of the Panama Canal. The lumber company even set up track in the denuded forest to carry the trees to the local tributary, where the cut trees lay waiting until spring, when the small river, swollen with snowmelt, carried them rushing by the hundreds of thousands through the narrow canyons to the Rio Grande, where they floated down to Albuquerque. Thank you.